So here's the thing, I'm a big fan of VR gaming, and I'm a big fan of flat gaming too. Now, when you combine these two worlds, and you can bring flat gaming into your VR headsets, now that's a pretty cool thing. And no, I get it, it's not the same. It's not VR gaming, it's just flat gaming in VR. Now, I have a PlayStation 5, I have a Nintendo Switch, and I used to have an Xbox Series S. And I got rid of that and I got myself a PS5, and I'm pretty happy with that decision. So essentially, Phil Spencer, who's Microsoft's gaming CEO, last year he essentially admitted that the console war is done for them and that Sony and Nintendo are way ahead. But Microsoft are still there and they are still producing games, but they're leaning into cloud gaming. And with people who have PS5s and people who have Nintendo Switches not actually being able to play the sort of Xbox exclusive games, then this cloud gaming thing sounds like a pretty good idea. And as someone who has those exact circumstances, I'm pretty interested. Now, if you have a PC, you can do a lot of your Xbox games from your gaming PC, and you can do cloud gaming from there too. But if, like me, you don't have those things, the cloud gaming side of it is actually pretty interesting. And the fact that cloud gaming is now on the Meta Quest, that's pretty epic. I mean, it's been out for a little while, and I haven't really tried it yet, but I was super keen to sort of get stuck in. I was told at the time it only took the Xbox controller. It was the Xbox controller, the Nintendo Switch Pro controller, and the PS4 controller, which I had none of those things. But when I tried it recently, it does actually work with my PS5 DualSense controller, which is some sort of weird, unholy trinity of gaming accessories. Playing Xbox games on my Quest 3 with a PlayStation controller, it feels a little bit dirty, but actually on your headset you can pair pretty much any controller and they work with Xbox Game Pass. But is cloud gaming on the Quest actually any good? That's what this video is about. So I'm going to tell you a story about me when I was a bit younger. One of the sort of collections of games that really I just loved and I used to sink absolute hours into were the Age of Empires style games. So Age of Empires, Age of Empires 2, Age of Mythology I was pretty into as well, and then other games sort of a bit further down the line like Rome, Total War, and going on and so forth. And I don't know if you've ever had this, but I had this thing pop up into my head where I was like, I really want to play Age of Empires. I just had this like hunger in my soul to play Age of Empires, and I very quickly realised Age of Empires isn't compatible with a Mac, especially a Apple Silicon Mac, which is what I have. It can't play it on a PS5, can't play it on the Nintendo Switch, which is all my options exhausted. Then I found out you can play it with cloud gaming if you have an Xbox controller and Game Pass Ultimate. And oh, I was so close to do it, but I didn't have an Xbox controller. I just had my DualSense controller. But that has now changed because I can use my DualSense controller. So when cloud gaming came out on the Quest, and I found out I could use other controllers with it, I was excited. And as much as most people, when they open up this thing and they are paying the monthly subscription fee to play cloud gaming, normally these people would go into some of like the big hitters on the Xbox store, things that you can't play on other things. I immediately went to Age of Empires. As much as playing it with a controller wasn't the best experience in terms of what I'm used to, it was actually pretty good. I enjoyed it a lot, and I've actually been playing it, and I still get that thing now where I'm like, oh, I just want to play Age of Empires on my Quest, which is a bizarre situation that I never thought I'd be in. If they could make VR Age of Empires, that would be awesome. Are you listening? Someone do that. Make VR Age of Empires. Now, what is interesting and kind of voids one of the reasons why I didn't do this sooner is the fact that you can actually play Age of Empires on cloud gaming on your Quest with a keyboard and mouse. So if you can just connect a keyboard and mouse to your thing, you can play proper Age of Empires PC style on your Quest. I mean, why don't I just do that? But hey, we're here, I'm enjoying Age of Empires, but I also now have access to a wide library of Xbox exclusive games, and other games as well, at my fingertips to play on my Quest. And as much as the sort of experience playing Age of Empires was very, very good, I experienced no latency whatsoever, and because of the style of game it is, it's just pretty relaxed and chill anyway, so you wouldn't really notice a massive bit of latency. I thought like I should probably actually test this a bit more than just playing Age of Empires, as good as Age of Empires is. So in order to test this more, I played a few other games, one of the games being Fallout 4. Obviously, new Fallout series is here, and very, very good. I enjoyed it a lot, but this isn't a movie review channel, but I do recommend it. It's on Amazon Prime. But I was feeling in the spirit for Fallout, so I whopped open Fallout 4 and started playing it, and I was blown away by how good the cloud gaming was. Now, my first experience of cloud gaming, because I have tried it before, and I tried it when I had an Xbox, wasn't very good. I didn't think it was good at all. I was quite disappointed with the signal I had, and I don't know, there's so many factors that can go into cloud gaming being good and bad. It can be your internet connection, it can be how many people are connected to the internet in your house, how many people are connected to the internet in the world, or in your country and in your area at a particular time. Like, all of these things that can affect your internet speed can affect how good cloud gaming is. If you've had movies buffering and you're constantly dealing with buffering for like Netflix, streaming an actual like high-res video game is going to be a bit difficult. Now, cloud gaming, it certainly isn't as good as actually playing on a console. So, especially when you're in your headset. I'm on the Quest 3, I've got big clear pancake lenses, and I really enjoy the sort of visuals. I think it looks really good, but there's definitely some compression, there's definitely artifacts, and it doesn't look amazing quality. It looks like it's being streamed, I guess. But that doesn't mean to say that it looks bad. It just doesn't look as good as a next-gen console you'd expect to look. Which I think is fair enough, isn't it? But in terms of things like latency, I didn't ever really notice the latency being particularly bad. I mean, I've got a fairly decent Wi-Fi in my house, so I've got decent coverage. And the place where I was mainly playing it was pretty close to my router, but I've never actually had any sort of issues with latency other than one time, and I was playing slightly further away from my usual spots, and I was opening up Palworld, and I noticed that I was doing a lot of juttering. Palworld wasn't optimized for cloud gaming, I don't think. It doesn't seem to be as smooth an experience I've had on games like, for example, Fallout. Which is interesting because, in my opinion, Fallout should be a sort of harder game to run, I guess. But you win some, you lose some. Not every experience was fantastic. Now, that being said, when I was using my headset far away on purpose, so for example, up in my bedroom when I was lying in bed, or sat in bed, I guess, I was definitely experiencing worse quality gaming in terms of like visual fidelity, and I was getting more issues of stuttering. Latency was okay, but there were like the stuttering and frame drops were very noticeable, and that's the kind of situation where I feel like I could play a game like Age of Empires perfectly happily, but as soon as you're playing any sort of like shooter or something like that, it will then become unplayable. Now, if your internet connection is terrible, then probably cloud gaming won't be for you, and if you have a really good internet connection, you're going to be laughing. Latency is a big thing because latency does make quite a large difference in the quality of your gameplay. I tend to find that most people who do a bit of gaming and don't really know the difference with latency, they just think they're having a bad day if their latency's bad. So if when you're moving, everything is just slightly delayed, that you don't actually really notice it, but you're just worse at aiming at people when you're trying to hit a moving target. You're a lot worse at that, and it just feels like you're having a bad day at the office, but actually what's happening is that your latency's bad, so you're at a bit of a disadvantage. And then if you then get people who are used to bad latency and you put them and on a console and a setup where they got very good latency, suddenly they feel like they're the best gamer they've ever been. But it's just because their latency's actually better. They're actually just a good gamer. They just had bad latency. Now, when we speak about controllers, if you don't have an Xbox controller or a PS5 controller and actually don't have another console, you just have your Quest 2 and you want to play some console games, you can do that. You just need to get yourself a controller, and you can get an Xbox controller or a PlayStation controller, or whatever you want, or you can get a third-party controller. And to be honest, I've been mainly using a third-party controller to do my cloud gaming and to play these games and test them out, and I've been having a pretty good experience. And the controller I've been using is over there. So this is the Easy SMX X15. It's a third-party Pro controller, which is actually pretty good. You've got Hall effect triggers and Hall effect joysticks, which is basically magnet powered, which means they're less likely to wear, and you're going to be able, it's going to track a lot better. You have macro buttons on the back, so you can set those up to actually particular combo moves in certain games, which can make your life a lot easier if you're playing particular games where combo moves work, or you can use it as an extra way of swapping out for another button. If, for example, when you're doing something particular, reaching for a button isn't going to work, it'll be much easier just to use the little button on the back. All the buttons have pretty low action, and they all look really good. And what's better is that when you turn it on, it looks like that. That is absolutely freaking epic. I mean, the only thing I think I would have liked to also light up would be the buttons. They don't light up, but they are textured, so I mean, I don't know if you'll be able to see it on here, but they are like recessed, so you can feel the buttons, and it doesn't match the Xbox layout. But you also got this little thing in the middle, and you can connect this to a Nintendo Switch, and it gives you what controller number you are. You can use this on your PC for cloud gaming on your PC, for example, or you can connect it to Android devices and iOS devices, the Quest being an Android device. Now, having a third-party controller for cloud gaming can be slightly trickier than an Xbox controller. For some reason, when I went to pair this, it gave me the option to connect to two different controllers. One of them was the Easy SMX controller, or the X15, which is what this is called, and one of them was just called Pro Controller. Now, when I was trying to connect to X15, it didn't work. When I connected to Pro Controller, this actually then connected, and then it worked really well. Again, the only issue I had is that button mapping, for some reason, was more like the Nintendo Switch instead of an Xbox. So when I'm trying to press A, I actually have to press B, and when I want to press X, I actually have to press Y. It's just backwards. You very quickly get used to it, but there isn't a way of changing what the button mapping is on the Quest at the moment. If you did that on a PC and it was wrong, you could change the button mapping pretty easily, but you can't do that on the Quest, which is a bit of a shame. The controller also has a turbo function, which basically can change when you hold a button to be a long press to just being like rapid tapping. So for example, if you want to have a thing where you hold a button down, you just do the same move over and over and over again instead of just doing one move and it holding it, then you can set up a turbo button as well. It's pretty good. It looks really cool. It feels great. It's a good weight to it. The ergonomics are really nice. It has a nice sort of textured plastic on the grips. That is the Easy SMX X15. I will put a link below in the description if you're looking to get yourself a controller. You can go check this one out down there. If you already have a controller though, you can use your Xbox controller or your PS5 controller or your Switch Pro controller or one of these. Now, I've talked a lot about the games and the sort of experience, but I haven't actually talked about the actual Quest experience when you're using this and why you want to do it on your Quest instead of doing it in just sort of any other thing. And one of the things I really like about this, so you do get your sort of own environment, which is like an Xbox themed environment when you're playing this, but you can also just use this in mixed reality. So for example, if you want to be sat in a room where you're playing on your games, but you can still actually talk to people and interact with them, you can just double tap side your headset and it doesn't get rid of your game, it just gets rid of the environment around you and your game stays in the place. You can change the size of your screen, so you can go for a small screen if you don't like it being too big. You can go for an XL screen, which in my opinion is too big, or you can go for a medium or large screen in between. I tend to find that depending on what I'm playing, it will depend on what screen size I want. So I was playing Fallout on a large screen and I was just finding that I was just getting a little bit lost around the edges, and it just felt a little bit like, because you're zoomed in and it's a first person shooter. I found that having the large screen was just slightly too much and a medium screen was better, but when you're playing a game where it's like third person, you're a bit further back in your point of view, I found that was a bit easier to play on the large screen and nicer to play on the large screen. And for a game like Age of Empires, well, I mean, you can have any size really, it doesn't really matter. It just depends on how much you want to move your eyes and look around. But one of the things I really liked is that I can use this in mixed reality. The only issue is that the battery on your headset will go down fairly quickly and you won't notice it because you're using mixed reality and you're also streaming games from online. It can be quite battery heavy to do that. So if you want to save a bit of battery, stay in the environment, or if you have a battery head strap, that can help with those slightly longer sessions too. But at the moment, I mean, I'm still pretty I'm new to the cloud gaming on the Quest. I'm enjoying it a lot. Those are sort of my first impressions, I guess, and the things that I've noticed. If anything else comes up, or you think I've missed anything, or you have a solution to this button mapping issue, let me know in the comments below, and I'd love to know what your experiences are of cloud gaming, Xbox cloud gaming, or elsewhere. Have you tried it on the Quest? Do you like it? Have you got any games you'd recommend on the Xbox store for me to try out using the cloud gaming? They don't have Starfield on there, which is a shame, but maybe one day. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope that was helpful. I'll see you in the next one. Woo!